Hey everybody, it's Leeroy from Leeroy Gaming, and today I have a very special Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous video for you. I'm presenting to you my ultimate Lich Path guide. Now this is from Unlock all the way to Final Transformation, where I'm going to be showing you all the major quest parts, what to do from Act 1 all the way to Act 5. We're going to be looking at some of the key events that occur during the game, both kind of mandatory and some that are optional. We're also going to go over the mechanics during the Crusade system that are unique to the Lich. In addition to that, I'm going to share with you the unique units that the Lich side gets and give you some feedback on how I think they perform. And then last but not least, we're going to look at all 5 companions that I've been able to find that you can get that are undead, so you can technically have a full undead party. The 5th one is a special surprise that I've saved till the end of the video. It's a mega spoiler warning on that one, so watch it at your own risk. It's super awesome, it's super optional, but it's really cool. If you haven't played the Lich Path, let me tell you right off the bat, this is probably the coolest path of all of them. While the actual mythic progression pathway may not be the most exciting as far as powers go, the actual theme and what you do in the story is really amazing, really fun. I can't recommend it enough. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I put a tremendous amount of work into it. If you guys do, remember, like, subscribe, slam that notification bell. With that all being said, guys, let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at how to unlock the Lich and then go all the way through to Final Transformation. So to begin the triggering of the Lich Mythic Path quest, you're going to be going to the Tower of Estrod. And this is going to be part of a optional quest called Spies Amidst Our Ranks. So the first time you come here, you'll probably be told by an NPC not to fight the demons. And then later on, you're going to come back as I am right now. So when you return, you're going to come back here. And you're going to come up the little path. And you're going to see this little interaction with the leaders. They're going to identify you, and you're going to fight them. I have gone ahead and fast-forwarded the battle here. So once the battle is complete, you could technically leave, but you definitely do not want to leave. Instead, what you want to do, you want to come back here and go to the basement. So click on the basement. Now, when you go downstairs, you're going to have this area here that you're going to unlock. You're going to run into a little conversation here to the right. You're going to talk to this individual and you can get some information from him, or you could attack him. Now, once you're done with dealing with Talmar one way or another, you're going to actually want to go over here. And you're going to be looking for Teldon. And when you talk to Teldon, this is an old blind man, basically. And there's going to be an interesting conversation here. And how you answer initially doesn't matter. And then you're going to ask him, who are you? And he's going to mention I was an old man. He survived a battle at Lost Chapel, which is going to be kind of a premonition of what's to come here. And you can ask him about the museum exhibits. And when you ask him about the exhibits, he's going to start talking. And he's going to have a line that says, I actually met them, you know. And he's talking about special characters in the story. Targona, Lariel, Silver Twins. He said, when I was young, a young man studying under Master Zacharias, they had no airs of grace about them. They walked amongst the mortals. They spoke to us. They healed our wounds. Lady Targona, I remember especially well. She had a special unearthly wisdom with her. And then you're going to ask him, at one point in a conversation here, what the thieves stole. And he's going to say, the wand of Zacharias, my master. He was a great man, the hero of the defense of the Lost Chapel. And those scoundrels took his wand, a relic. Ballads are sung about Zacharias, and they're just damn thieves. Master Zacharias will return, and he will assemble all of us, his students, and we'll show them, I'll show them what Battle Mage Staunton is made of. And then you can ask him to tell you more about Zacharias. And he said he was a great hero. He was fearless but insightful. He never underestimated the strength of the demons. They laid siege to Lost Chapel, again hinting to the Lost Chapel location. Was Zacharias who stood in the breach to rescue the clerics. He understood that he couldn't hold out, but he refused to retreat. He had vowed to defend the temple before the final onslaught. He gathered up his surviving apprentices, looked us over, and picked me. He said, "Tell them today I will die and leave my comrades behind. Take my wand and bring it to Canabras. Should an hour of great need come, a worthy crusade can take the wand and bring it to me. I will know that my brothers need me once more, and I will come to their aid. Not even death shall stop me." And so I brought his wand and his final words here. I also brought something else here. "This is why I am the way I am." The old man pokes a finger at his bald head. "Fear consumed my mind. It shattered my reason. I was so desperate to forget the terrible day that my memory slowly but surely fled my wretched head." So by reading that, we basically know we need to get this wand and we need to take it to Zacharias, who's going to be at the Lost Chapel. Now, unlike the other mythic pathways that you can unlock early in the game, the next part for the Lich pathway does not move forward until Act 2. So Act 2 is when you basically free Canabras and you get the Crusade mechanic. You're going to make your way up here, and then as part of the story, you're going to get to Leper Smile. So you're going to go into Leper Smile, and I'll show you where you go next. So when you're in Leper Smile, you're going to start down here. And you're just going to make your way through. There's going to be a quest that basically pushes you forward. And then you're going to run into the Queen. And how you kill the Queen and what you do for a corpse does not matter. But what does matter is after you're done, do not exit the area. You can, but you shouldn't. Instead, you're going to go down here. So click on this down area. And you're going to go into these caves. Now for this quest, once you're down in the caves, you're going to want to go up here. You're going to go straight ahead, fight the initial monsters. Once you're done with the initial monsters here, you're going to go past this little rock area. You're going to find some whites. So if you're facing the whites, you know you're heading down the right way. Keep on heading down, all the way down here. There's going to be some traps that you're probably going to want to disarm. I'll go ahead and skip this little part as I'm disarming and fighting a couple of small mobs. Alright, now what we care about is, as we went up down this corridor, you're going to get to this area where there's a bunch of water and resources, and you're going to keep fighting whites until you get to this box here. You're going to notice it's a green box and it's glowing, and you can kind of see a wand sitting there. Now there's going to be some whites that spawn. You can go ahead and kill them real quick, but do note that they're going to keep respawning, coming back from the dead infinitely if you don't go and interact with this. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to have my other characters attack this enemy, and then we're going to interact with this wand. When you interact, as you can kind of see, this little event occurs. And it says, as soon as your fingers touch the wand, a surge of energy courses through your body. A howling choir of restless souls deafens your very thoughts. Green light pours from your eyes. It can rend soul from body, if you so much as will it. The wand vibrates in your hand like it's alive. But no, it's certainly not, as you realize with amazing clarity. But there's definitely something inside, and it's studying you closely. So you definitely want to hide the wand in your bag, because as the conversation at the tower said, we need to return this to Zacharias. We're going to go ahead and hide this. If, for example, you break it, you're going to lock yourself out permanently. And since the green light fades quickly as it arose, choir of the dead quiets their howls, the power slips away, even as every part of your body protests against it. You vividly realize how fragile and fickle mortal flesh is. So after this, you're going to go ahead and just clear this up, kill these enemies. They're not going to spawn up anymore. And then you can move on and finish this area. Alright, as you continue to progress towards Drezen, you are going to be met with a mandatory quest called A Strike from the Sky. Basically, gargoyles are going to come and steal a bunch of people from your camp. And you're going to have to go to the Lost Chapel to kind of rescue them. And what's going to happen here is you're going to make your way up the mountain, and you're going to go into chapel. Once you go into chapel, there's going to be a combat here. Now, if you have the wand, with you and have done all the steps so far, what's going to happen here is that this little path to the right is going to open downstairs. If you destroyed the wand or did not get it, this will not be available. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go downstairs. And once you're downstairs, you're just going to go straight down. There's areas to the side that you can explore, get some loot. There's some fighting encounters you run into as well. But if you're here for Zacharias, just head down here and go into this giant library, and he's going to be in the back right corner. You see an undead man dressed in a style popular among Mendevian Crusaders 100 years ago. Though long decayed, his expressive adornments indicate high status, and the clean and functional cut of his suit places its wearer in a military profession. The undead man sizes you up with a lordly glance. Greetings, Crusader. You have the honor of meeting Zacharias the Lich, the last warden of the newfound sanctuary and master of this place. I sensed you as soon as you stepped through the gates of my stronghold. There's something in your bag that belongs to me. Give me my wand, and as my elf dictates, I shall give you a gift. The dead man doesn't notice the shaggy death's head, moth crawling along his sleeve. The sign is not for him, but for you. This meeting has pleased Urgatoa. Now, I believe this is optional because I created a character that worships this god of basically of the pallid, the necromancers. So I think that's related to that. Dark energy coming from the Lich draws a response from inside you. A surge of power, similar to what you felt in a bandit cave, suppresses and overwhelms all other feelings and fills you with new sensations. You lose control over your own body for a moment as your hands, as if alive on their own, dive into the bag and take Zacharias' wand out. You would swear it trembles with impatience, like a dog too long away from its beloved master. And of course, if you want to make sure that you keep going down this path, you want to select Evil, requires Lich Mythic Path. Give him the wand, it belongs to you. Green light shines in Lich's eyes and his arrogant tone offends the air. So common sense wins out. How commendable. Otherwise, I should have had to kill you, but I have other plans for you. Accept this, my gift. Had we met under different circumstances, I'd never even consider sharing my power. But my elf obliges me. I, Zacharias, shall hereby fulfill my vow. A worthy Crusader has come and returned my wand to me. Now may I leave this prison, and you shall become my apprentice. For my first order as your master, you must truly show yourself as a worthy Crusader, or my oath will not be fulfilled, and I am merely wasting my time. Meanwhile, I shall begin my work. I shall reach the very depths of your soul to alter it, ready for eternity. You will not regret our paths have crossed. Up there you will find the master of this fortress. Nulkineth is expecting you. This demon is so witless he doesn't even suspect I'm here, but he is strong and tiresome. It is high time someone disposed of him. I shall assist you in this, although my own brothers in arms are long dead. Their hatred for the demons is far stronger than death. They will help you kill Nulkineth. Are you prepared to command the last defenders of the Lost Chapel? Purge my fortress of demon filth. And then, obviously, if you want to get their help, you say, Evil, I am ready. For the first time in your entire conversation, you sense a shade of empathy in Zacharias' voice. Then do not linger. I shall go to the laboratory to contemplate your future. Farewell. Be ready when next we meet. So what's kind of cool is when you go back upstairs and you actually get to the demon at the end of the area, when you initiate the fight, you're actually going to have Undead come up and help you with the fight, making it a little easier. Now, after the incident at the chapel, you're going to make your way towards Drezen, and you're going to assault Drezen. How you assault it, it does not matter. It doesn't matter who you bring along or you don't bring along. But I do recommend for future events not to invite the queen to come along. You don't want to be too close to the queen, and you'll see why later. But for now, you're going to make your way through, and then you're going to get to the very top of Drezen, where we're going to see this next part. So when you get to the top of Drezen, you're basically going to come up here, and it's going to trigger an event that lets you pick your mythic path. And basically, if you've done it right, you should have everything you've unlocked. So in my case, I met all the prerequisites for all these options, and Lich is one of them. You can select it and you'll get your first level of Lich. Now, here are the options for the Lich. If you want to see me go through all of this and explain it thoroughly, I have a really in-depth video that not only goes over all of the different options for the skeleton upgrades, I show you all the summons, including actually summoning them for you. All of this is covered, so make sure to check out that video. It should be popping up above me and also in the description below. But I will go ahead and move on. Now, I do want to point out, as part of the Lich progression, if you have a main spellcaster that is an arcane spellcaster and has a complete full spellbook, meaning like a sorcerer or a wizard, not like a hybrid, not like a blood rager, for example, then you can combine your Lich book with the sorcerer's spellbook. What this basically means is that all of the spells will be cast the same way that your main class casts them. So if you're a sorcerer, you'll be able to do spontaneous casting, and if you're a wizard, you're still going to memorize the Lich spells. In addition to this, the biggest benefit to this is that it's going to combine your levels. So for example, by the time you become, let's say, a level 20 sorcerer, you will also eventually be a level 10 Lich, and it will combine it. So you have the potential of being a maximum of a level 30 caster when it comes to calculating how hard it is to resist, for example, your spells. So this is a really, really big bonus. If you are, for example, a fighter or a hybrid caster, this will not be an option, and you will have to have a separate spellbook, and it will max out at level 10. What this really just means is you're going to want to probably focus on more like the summoning spells, the buffing spells, not necessarily the direct damage spells that can be resisted, because those will get resisted rather easily compared to being a level 30 caster. And then you're going to see this cool, unique animation here. Well, this part is not unique, but what you will see is there's going to be a unique banner that's going to pop up.
The dead make ideal soldiers. Good idea.
And here, depending on who you have with you, you will have different responses. And here we go. Let's take a look at the banner. And there's a traditional banner, and now it transforms to the banner of the Lich. Much better. Now, after you select the Lich path, you're actually going to go and you're going to end up fighting Staunton Vane, and you're going to kill him. After the battle, you're going to be talking here automatically with Irabeth, and as you just heard, she wants to know what to do with his body. You will get a unique option that says Evil requires Lich Mythic Path. Oh, I have my own plans for the corpse. Let it stay in a dungeon for now. I will decide what to do with it. Make sure to select this, otherwise you will lose the ability to bring him back as an undead companion. Now I want to take this quick moment to introduce this system to you guys. Basically, from playing the game, I have found 5 characters that you can unlock and end up bringing with you, level them up like full-on characters that you would meet in any other way. Now, if you want to jump to those specific sections to learn exactly about each and every one, you're going to find timestamps below. However, you cannot recruit them right away. There's going to be a couple steps. I am right now, if you just watch this video in its natural order, I'm going to teach you how to unlock the options to actually resurrect these individuals. And then as we get to the appropriate acts, meaning acts 3, 4, and 5, when it's appropriate, I will point out where to go and how to resurrect these individuals. Of course, I'm going to show you the characters, their base stats, and some feedback on them. Now, once you return to your Citadel, you're going to have some interactions. You're going to meet Ciar here. And just to let you know, he's going to be one of the first 3 characters you're going to be able to unlock to become an undead companion. Now, the first step to being able to unlock and start resing and utilizing undead companions can start right off the bat. So you're going to want to go under Manage Crusade Affairs. And then the first thing you want to do is do forming a diplomatic council and forming military council. Now, I don't know if these are technically mandatory, but as they take 1 day exactly, and I did this day 1, this procced together when these were formed. So let me kind of show you what happens. You select both of these and then just go ahead and skip a day since you're already at the Citadel. They're going to complete automatically, and you're just going to X out of this, and it's going to take you right back to the Citadel. Now you're going to have some interactions here, and you can let this first guy basically go on with his duties. And right after that, you should have Zacharias pop up, and it says, the grim voice of Zacharias the Lich suddenly booms inside your head. Student, you have proven yourself a worthy Crusader. To defeat the demons in this war, you have fiercely sought the secrets of death. Your determination deserves respect. Now you can proceed with your great transformation into a Lich. For that, I shall need a suitable laboratory where I can scrutinize and condition your spiritual body in solitude, preparing it for rebirth. As for you, you will need a palace from which you will rule over legions of the dead. Give the order to erect a ziggurat in Drezen. And you're going to get House of Death, the mission pop up. And of course, you can respond however you want. I'm going to choose, he says, Zekar's imperious voice betrays a hint of vanity. It must be an imposing building, one worthy of receiving me as its guest. This is where you will discover eternal life. If the need arises to demolish a few buildings for the construction, ensure that they are located far enough away from the squalor of the slums. I do not wish for my ingredient stores to be ravaged by rats. We'll go ahead and go evil. I'll demolish each and every house in Drezen if I have to. I need the power you promised. And he says, it pleases me to know that I did not err when I chose you to be my student. I have no need for sniveling little cowards. Get on with it. Welcome to the dark side. Now at this point, you're going to have to pass the degree called Ziggurat. Now this takes 20 days to do. So you can go ahead and either kind of skip through it, but be careful not to have morale drop too low. But in the meantime, there's a couple of things you can do while you wait. And the first one is to actually unlock a second character that will be ready for you to resurrect and bring with you as soon as you have the necessary steps completed. So you're going to want to go to Temple of the Good Hunt. You'll notice it's just west here of Drezen. So go ahead and go there. And when you arrive here, go ahead and make your way to the temple. There's not going to be any enemies or anything like that. Now when you go inside, you need to go right up here. And it's very important that you actually talk to Kiato. You're going to just go through the natural conversation, and you're going to be kind of questioning him about the temple and everything it's connected to. So just go through the conversations. And you're going to be asking him if he saw anything suspicious in the area, and then he's going to be kind of stumbling over his words. At this point, go ahead and just exit the conversation. And then make yourself your way north here.
Might be treasure.
And hopefully you have a decent perception and you'll find this interactive button. So once you find that here, for whatever reason, it's going to pop up this little exploration thing here. And it's going to say, it appears there's a carefully concealed doorway in this place. It's going to pop up conversation with Kiato. And it says, I discovered a concealed door in the temple. Where does it lead? And he's going to beg you not to go down there. You can check your stats, whatever you want, however you think you can get him to agree with you. So I have a high intimidate, so I'll do evil. And then you need to get the key from him, so you can pick however way you want. So here I just chose lawful. I'm the Crusader, give me the key. And he gave me the key. Get the crypt key. You can also attack him and kill him. And that allows you to click on here. And it's going to unlock it. He's of course going to beg you not to go in there, but we're going to go. Now for everybody except the Lich, this is going to progress this little quest. But we get an extra bonus because we're the Liches. You're going to interact with this sarcophagus, and you're going to want to examine it. And then you want to kind of identify it, what this is all like, how to open it. So check your stats. If you have a high religion, you can do this one. I don't. I have a pretty good arcana. I could also do trickery. So these are both plus 20. So let's give this a shot. So I exceeded on that one. And now, as long as you open it, you have this option. So after several attempts, Arthas manages to break through the spell placed on the sarcophagus. The symbol in the stone seal begins to glow. With a click, seal crumbles to pieces, and the lid of the sarcophagus slides open. Inside the sarcophagus lies the remains of a female archer. The bones are held together by leather armor covered in the same symbols as those of the sarcophagus, and the skeleton's hands are clutching an impressive bow made from an antler. Surprisingly, there's no unpleasant smell from the remains. The commander, and you have the option that's unique to the Lich, breathe life into the old bones and summon them into his service. We're going to click that. Little green flames spark to life inside the empty eye sockets of the once blessed Delamere. With a crunching sound, the fingers of bone clench around the bow. Her body slowly rises from the sarcophagus and takes into the crypt of a hate-filled glance. From her gaping jaw emerges a rasp of vexation. Who has dared? The dead priestess glares at you, green flames raging in her empty eye sockets. What have you done to me? How dare you desecrate my remains? With each word, air from her lungs whooshes out between her ribs. And then, of course, everybody's got little options of their input. And you can tell her, bow before me. Delamere's proud back slowly curves into a bow, and through gritted teeth she hisses, "Yes, master." And then you can tell her, "Your temple has been defiled and your priest revealed to be a traitor." Delamere draws a breath like she's sniffing the air. "My country, awash of corruption, demons, cities, they defile the soul. I was right, this cleric is nothing." And so you can ask about her if you're interested about her. You can ask about her bow, how she feels about her new form, and then you can basically tell her to have a task, that you have a task for her. Now, what's important here is that if you're getting this early, you're not going to have all the right options. Be careful. You lay her to rest, she's just going to go away. And also, if you release her, so just say, "I think I'll have use of you for later." And then for now, you're going to tell her to stay here. Now you may find this confusing, but basically you haven't constructed the ziggurat and the building after that yet. So you are not able to have her as a companion quite yet, but you have technically unlocked her. You're just gonna need to come back here and then tell her to go back to the ziggurat once it is time. So if you do this in the future, when you've already built the ziggurat and the second building or feature, then you will be able to command her right away. Now we have gone ahead and fast forwarded until we're ready to complete the ziggurat. So we're going to do the final day here. It's going to complete the quest, and it's going to tell you to talk to Zacharias. Now, unfortunately, on the travel map for the city, there's not going to be a fast travel to it. It's actually going to be right here, kind of, where part of the highlight for the streets is. So you are going to want to click on the streets to get there. And if you hit M for map, you're going to see it's there already, and it already looks quite impressive. So we're going to go ahead and run there from the outside. And so here's the ziggurat in all its glory. I'll kind of show you. It's it's definitely not subtle. So now we're basically going to go into our own personal little pyramid. And then you're going to go in here. Now, the ziggurat's pretty big, but it's a little deceiving. You're going to see all these areas where you can go downstairs. There are some downstairs areas that are going to be used for kind of quest events, but most of your interactions, if not all of them almost, are going to be right here with Zacharias. So the Lich surveys the ziggurat with regal dignity. Upon seeing you, he inclines his head. "Not bad at all, student. It's much more spacious than my private chambers at the Lost Chapel. And yet you do not expect me to oversee the running of this palace, do you? I am busy enough as it is. I am engaged in constant spiritual creation as I transform your immaterial being. Without my effort, the powers of death will simply snuff you out in a blink of an eye. I shall produce a creature, the pillars of skulls, that will see to the more mundane affairs of the Lord of Death. Arrange for everything I need to be delivered. We shall not waste time. While you take care of urgent matters, I can finally return to my engaging conversation with the old elf, a story collector. He promised to divulge the finer details of weaving the traditional curses of Tian Xia. And you can talk to him about the story, his relationship with the storyteller. That'll play a role a little bit later in the story. And then it's going to, as you talk to him, going to unlock the command to build the Pillar of Skulls. So now that the Ziggurat is built up and you've talked to Zacharias, you're going to have Pillars of Skull to build. It's not very expensive. It takes only 10 days to make, so you're going to want to get that started as soon as possible. Now, with the Ziggurat built, you're also going to unlock the second unique mechanic of the Lich Path. And you could miss this little part very easily, but in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to notice you have a buff that's called Necromancy now. It's a permanent buff, and it says armies get a replenishment of skeletons and zombies equal to value of killed enemies divided by 275 after a victory. But there's also a downside. The cost of recruiting mercenary units increases by 100%, and recruitment growth for trainable units is reduced by 50%. Basically, you're turning into a city of undead, so people don't really want to come to Drezen, and mercenaries, if they're going to work for you, they're going to make sure you pay twice as much. Now, don't worry about these negative elements so much, because soon enough you're going to have some mini events occur, and you're going to get a nice little starting army of skeletons and zombies. I believe I don't have a save where it showed when I got it exactly, but if I remember correctly, I got 500 skeletons and 500 zombies. And as you see here, you do not recruit these. These have been increasing naturally as I killed enemies. So I'm currently at this point when I'm about to finish the second build and the second upgrade for resurrecting people, to have 679 skeletons and 702 zombies. Now let's take a quick look at the stats. Now the skeletons aren't very good. They have very low AC, but they do have 1 damage reduction, 23 hit points. And although you only do 6 to 8 damage with them, you have so many of them that they are going to absolutely annihilate stacks. Same with the zombies. The zombies actually have 3 damage reduction. They have 90 hit points and armor class 16, but they only do 1 to 3 damage. So they're the tanky ones that don't do much damage. The skeletons do some damage, but they don't have very much health. But they're going to be the backbone of your army. Now, what's odd is even though they're undead, you can use the cure spell on them and they will resurrect. So this is how you can make sure you never lose them, and you're just going to have this ever-growing army of skeletons and zombies as your baseline units. And then you can, of course, use backup units to do more ranged DPS, for example. Now, once the pillar is completed, it's going to tell you to go to talk to Zacharias again. So just make sure, go back to town. Now, upon returning to the Ziggurat, you're going to notice this sentient obelisk-like item. You're going to want to talk to Zacharias. He says, "Behold my creation, student. I fashioned this pillar of skulls from the heads of clever, resourceful people who can be useful once more. Now that they've been detached from their bodies, they can devote themselves entirely to serving you. Their advice will be wise and helpful. The pillar will ensure order in the Ziggurat. It is time for me to proceed with my work. Your soul is almost ready to accept the power of death. My work in this task has been magnificent. In the meantime, you may greet your new servant. One of its heads may seem familiar." The Lich's voice is full of malicious glee. And then you can go ahead and talk to the Pillar of Skulls. Before you stands a pillar of reanimated heads resting upon it, their eyes glowing green. All have been stripped back to their shiny, fleshless skulls, except for one that once belonged to an elderly man with a gray beard. The skulls greet you in unison. Their whispers blend together in a chorus. "Greetings, Master. We are the Pillars of Skulls. We serve you your command." Upon inspecting the elderly man's head, you recognize Teldon, the museum custodian from the Tower of Estrod. His lips are crusted with dried blood, and a fat black fly crawls across his cheek. So apparently Zacharias was not amused. And yeah, here's the blind custodian. We were created to advise you to control the Ziggurat, to serve as shepherds for the undead, to ensure your safety, and of course, help you assemble the Grave Guard. Use us as you see fit. So the Grave Guards are basically the undead companions. And what's kind of cool is if you basically find an undead companion that you haven't unlocked yet, you can click here, like who are the Grave Guards? And it basically tells you that they're the champions, the strongest protectors. And it gives you the option, can you sense the souls of those who can become my Grave Guards? And so because we have the dwarf down in our dungeon says, we sense rage, we sense shame, a powerful spirit, a suffering spirit, a traitor spirit. He roams your dungeon. His god refused to claim his soul. Bind him. He will be useful. So it tells you about that one. And because if you follow the guide, we also found Delamere. It says, you enslaved the spirit of Delamere, a powerful priestess of Erastil. Her arrows will defend the Ziggurat well. Order her to come here. So this is now basically reminding you, hey, we've unlocked this feature. Now you can go back to her at the temple west of Drezen. And when you interact with her, she'll have an option to come back here. The pillar falls silent for a time, then it cracks its jaws and speaks. We seek, but we do not see. There are no worthy candidates. We shall continue our search. So basically, that's saying there's nobody else that you've found out in the world that is a proper candidate. So now under errands, you're going to see these two new quests, Traitor Spirit, as well as Delamere's Eternal Vigil. So let me show you what that looks like when you go ahead and interact with them. So from the travel interface, you can go ahead and go to the prison. And in the prison, go ahead and go to the very, very far cell. You're going to notice on the ground the little search icon. Click on it. Staunton's corpse looks horrible. Two whitish orbs where normal eyes once were, rotten eyelids, the putrid stench of rotten meat. Flies are swarming the dead dwarf, eager to lay their larvae in his flesh. So you will now have an option. Evil requires Lich Mythic Path, awaken Staunton from death. You can find him here earlier, but it will not have this option. Go ahead and click it. The corpse does not move. They can sense Staunton's presence. His low voice resounds in your ears. Get lost, I'm dead. Magrim, the god of death, is waiting for me. He will deliver me onto Pharasma's judgment. Me, I've had enough judgment here. No one will look at me with pity and disgust ever again. Go to the abyss. What do you want then? Again, I can feel it. You two want to use me. Forget it. And so you can do a diplomacy check for diplomacy or bluff. You can also force them to submit. Let's go ahead and just see if we can diplomacy it. There we go. We succeeded. Make things right. Wash away the betrayal. Avenge. A generous offer. It isn't some kind of a joke at my expense. I accept. So we went again. Did that. And there's his portrait. Staunton face, purple from postmortem lividity, shows stern determination. The dwarf's low voice sounds even more grim than when he was alive. I'm at the ready, Commander, awaiting your orders. And basically you can talk to him and talk smack to him if you want. And he cannot fight against you, but you want to go ahead and tell him, head to my Ziggurat and guard it. Will do, I won't surrender this fortress, not even to Discari himself. So at this point, you can go ahead and exit. And you want to go as if you were going to exit town. Now, he'll be hanging out at the Ziggurat. But if you want him to join your group, all you got to do is go here. And he's actually going to be already available at the bottom of your list of characters. So I'll go ahead and bring him along really quick. As we go and pick up the second character, I'll show you the second character that you can get right away. And then I'll show you the character and the stats for both of them. So again, you're going to make your way back over to Temple of the Good Hunt. Now at this point, when you return to Delamere, you can talk to her. And when you go, I have a task for you. You have a brand new option. And you can select, go to my Ziggurat and guard it. As you command, Master, I will guard your fortress. Just like that, she is now unlocked. You do get her armor and her bow right off the bat. Now, unfortunately, you don't get to put her into your party automatically for free. The fastest way to get into your party, just make sure to teleport back to Drezen. You can do that if you built the teleporter, or you could go and use the group manager, of course. Let's go ahead and do that, and then we're going to take a look at the stats of both of these companions that you now unlocked. Now also, as soon as you come back to the Citadel, you're going to get a pop-up for a quest called Spiritual Bonds. So we want you to go and talk to him. He says he's basically ready to get you all connected. Okay, now as we come back to the Ziggurat for the Spiritual Bonds quest, let's go ahead and take a quick look at our two newest companions. We'll start with Staunton, and Staunton is basically a bit of a mess when you first get him. Now he starts out at level 10, and he's a little weird because they pick like Dazzling Display for him, Agile Maneuvers. He's not built that great. He is a War Priest, so if you are going to plan on making a full Undead party, you most definitely can build him out decently. Just you're going to make sure you're going to want to pump his Wisdom up, because that's going to make it so you get more spells. You could pump up his Charisma. That's going to help with his channeling. And also don't forget, his channeling is also his health. So he's not so great, but eventually you could make him a secondary healer next only to you as the Lich that's going to have a really easy time to heal the party. Now, Delamere, on the other hand, is absolutely bonkers. She is a great character. Also undead, of course. And she is actually a Slayer. She's going to have 19 dex to start with, 16 strength, 16 charisma. And again, remember, charisma is their health. They don't care about constitution or the other stats. So she's got excellent stats as a Slayer. They didn't mess her up at all. She's built really, really well to be built with a longbow. She has like dispelling attacks, point blank master, Slayer talents, or everything here is picked quite well. So you can naturally build her to 20 as a Slayer, and she's going to be really, really good. Alright, so now you're going to get summoned back to talk to Zacharias to finish off Spiritual Bonds. You go talk to him. Zacharias beckons you impatiently. Perfect, now you are here, we can proceed. Remember, this moment, accept fate's greatest gift to you. You, my young student, are about to discover eternal life and power beyond imagining, right here, right now. Head-spinning aroma of overripe fruit fills your nostrils. You notice the sweet taste of slightly rotten meat in your mouth. Two well-fed shaggy death's head moths land on your shoulders. If please, Urugoth, the pallid princess welcomes your transition to the bliss of undeath. Let us proceed. With a resounding crackling of his bones, Zacharias spreads his arms widely. Welcome to immortality, Commander. Spectral fingers grasp your very being with immense power. Their predatory grip causes pain and odd numbness. You feel as though an unknown power is trying to rip your soul from your body, and it succeeds. You feel yourself drifting apart from your body. Your heartbeat slows, becoming distant and barely perceptible, and you give yourself over to the power. Submitting to the spectral power, your spirit is smoothly released from its mortal flesh. Suddenly, the spectral power disappears. Everything around you freezes. You look at your own breathless body with unexpected curiosity, and yet nothing happens. So odd, precisely when the spirit was being expelled, I discovered a strange arcane connection between you and something, or someone. The connection is strong, yet its nature utterly eludes me. Have you even been enchanted, personally blessed by a god? No, that's not it. You are rather complicated personally, aren't you, student? One thing is clear, unless we ascertain what produced these spiritual bonds, I shall not be able to perform the ritual without risking your life. If the ritual goes awry, we shall both suffer greatly. My oath drains me of my power and reduces me to ash. Divination revealed to me a dark place, empty like an old broken shell, yet still resounded with the echoes of great deeds of the past. This mysterious place lies to the southwest. Go there and find it. Trust your senses. You will recognize its trail when you come across it. And it's going to want you to find a mysterious place. So the area in question is called the Desolate Hovel. And it's basically, if you take a look here, southwest of Drezen. So it's pretty. You go down the south path right here. You go and it's going to go past Winter Sun. Going to go south and west here. And all the way down to here. And this is the mysterious place. Now as you get to this location, you're going to go into this kind of old hut. Now this location is one of the main story parts, so you're not going to technically miss this, but there's going to be a unique element to it that I'll show you in a moment. You're just going to go through here, and then once you interact, you're going to end up getting whisked away and sent to this kind of like prison. So now you're in this trap, and I'm going to be skipping most of it, but I do want to point out one of the features that the Necromancer has is they're going to see ghosts around places. You can talk to them. And they'll have little unique little messages. So interacting with ghosts is unique to the Necromancer. Now you start in this room, but you're going to have a little conversation with the little demon's assistant. And then I'm going to go ahead and just fast forward and show you where you need to go for the unique element for the Lich pathway. So if you start in this room right here, and here's the mini map, this is where we need to be in the lower left hand corner. You're literally just going to go straight ahead. And then you're going to go down here, down this corridor, and go into this room right here, right before you meet this darkness. And what's important is you interact with this little interactable item. It says, a vessel resembling an outlandish jug seems to have been hewn from a huge block of solid crystal. Veins of bright purple running through the crystal pulse of light. A crimson droplet falls on it, triggering a vibration deep inside. You look down and see a scarlet stain blooming on your chest. Your wound has reopened in a blink of an eye. You sense the powerful magical aura of the vessel. What's more, something that is hard to explain is literally drawing you towards it. And then because you are a lich, you can do take the vessel. This is what I came here for. After touching the vessel, you feel a flash of keen triumph at the rightness of what has occurred. But the feeling leaves you as quickly as it comes. Your power envelops the vessel, protecting it, preventing it from harming you. If by chance it is armed with protective charms, it will read Zacharias in one piece. So this is the crystal vessel you need to make sure to have. Do not accidentally sell it. I saw somebody in a comment mentioning that they accidentally sold this. Please don't do that. So this is all you need here. Then you can go ahead and just continue through this little mini kind of dungeon of sorts. And then you're going to want to go back to Zacharias. Now, once you're done with the hovel little dungeon, you're going to want to teleport back to Drezen. And so if you go directly to the Citadel, before we turn in this quest, there's going to be an event that takes place. Now, this event is technically two mini events. And they're going to introduce you to the two undead advisors you're going to get. So the first one is Alyanka. So you see a tall old woman with an imperious face and tangled gray hair. She's wearing a simple robe with a decayed hem riddled with a small hole. She wears no jewelry, but carries herself like a queen. Greetings, Commander. I am Alyanka Camilleri, priestess of Uragothoa. So this is basically the goddess, the pallid princess, lady of despair. All the necromancers worship her, and my main character does too. And noble woman of the immortal principality of Ustalav. I also represent the secret society of the Whispering Way. My lord sent me to you to congratulate you on your victory. We are impressed by how bravely and openly you practice the art of death in your dominions. The true nobles of Ustalav, those who haven't forgotten the ancient fame of our country, welcome you as an ally and a kindred spirit. In these times, those who dare to openly practice necromancy and its related arts must stand together. My visit is our first gift to you, a sign of our good intentions. I've brought troops with me and talented wizards to help you in the war. We hate the demons as much as you do. We will be glad to see our northern boundaries change from being a constant threat to the home of a good neighbor. And then you can welcome her, basically, or talk to her and ask her any questions. And then right after her, you're going to have a second person come. Septimus, you have an unexpected guest standing in front of you. See a youth about 18 with dark hair, a high forehead and noble face. He is draped in black from head to toe. Greetings, Commander. My name is Septimus. I am a vampire and one of the bloodlords of Geb, a country that lies far to the south. So yes, you do get vampires too. I've been given the honor of delivering congratulations to you on your first victory in this war. We are glad to see that in the north, at the other end of the world, a new necrocratic power has risen. Geb will be pleased to support you in your and provide assistance. As a gift and a sign of our gratitude, accept the army that I brought. You can consider me your loyal servant and advisor. And again, you can kind of talk to him. And then you're going to want to... You could technically accept one or the other. Neither or both. I'm going to accept two. It is going to have some repercussions down the line. But this way you get some dual benefits. The vampire takes a gracious bow. I am glad to meet a friend in this austere northern land. I admit we were worried over overture. Our overture would be misconstrued. I'm glad that you are cautious and unbiased in your judgment. But then alas, here comes the first lady that we just dealt with. Alyanka, the priestess of Uragoa from Ustalav, burst in the room. She casts a scathing look at Septimus and then looks at you with indignation. You aren't going to let this dirty leech in your house, are you? This vampire will charm you with his magic and then stab you in the back. Then he says, the thugs from Ustalav got to you before us? Lamentable. I hope you do not heed her advice. There's nothing in her words beside poison and treachery. Necromancy is despised precisely because of people like her and her kin. If we met under different circumstances, I would do the world a favor and dispose of you, priestess. However, out of respect for the commander, I suggest we shed no blood here and make a pact to cease hostility between us. Alyanka is silent for a while, her eyes blazing as she fights to keep her anger in check, and then she hisses through her teeth, a pact, no bloodshed, solely out of respect for the commander. Now, as gifts from the advisors, you're going to get access to 3 new units, and depending what choices you make via different events that will pop up, it will dictate which ones you're going to be able to summon mass more. Let's take a look at those right now. The first one is the vampires. Now, the vampires are really, really good. They have 225 hit points, 21 AC, damage reduction of 3. Now, it doesn't show, I don't know why, it doesn't show how much damage they do here, but they do decent damage. But the most important thing they do is the fact that they can leech life. So whenever they do damage, they heal themselves and they bring their own units back from the dead, making them some of the most tanky units in the game. This is the one I personally chose to kind of have as a backbone of my army. Now, from the Necromancers, you get access to 2 units. Now, first you have Skeleton Champions, and they're actually pretty good. 11 AC, 3 damage reduction, 99 hit points, and they do 15 to 17 damage each. Because the idea is you're going to be able to get a decent number of them, they can be a nice frontline infantry for you. And the second type of skeleton archer unit that you got was the skeleton sharpshooters. Now they have 45 health, which is okay, 9 AC, which is not bad, with 1 damage reduction, and do 23 to 25 damage. So they're not quite as good as kind of like the snipers, but for being undead, they're quite good. So you could have a foundation of these units plus your baseline zombies and skeletons, and if you wanted to, you could have a full army of undead. So now we return to the Ziggurat, and we're going to turn in the Spiritual Binding quest. The Lich spares you an impassive glance. I do hope you're here with good reason, student. I am occupied with my ruminations of the ritual you and I shall perform together. So you can give him the crystal vessel to Zacharias. I found a mysterious place of yours. This is what I discovered there. Zacharias Scrutinizes the vessel. What a curious item. It was used for magical practices, the highest order. It is my understanding that you are seeing it for the first time. Yet it is linked to you by powerful ties. It is as though someone with great power used it to spy on you. It will be useful for the ritual. Through it, I shall influence your being, making it more receptive to the forces of death. Leave me for now, student. I need to research this further. I shall tell you when I am ready to begin the next stage of our preparation. And you can ask him, are you prepared to turn me into a lich? I am busy researching the crystal you have brought me. Have some patience. Now, what I recommend you do next is actually to head to Winter Sun. This is going to be a requirement for the main story, but it's also going to help us move forward towards unlocking another undead companion. Now, you're sent to Winter Sun to find out what happened to some Crusaders that went missing. Now, I want to point out that I've played this multiple times now, and I was shocked to find out that apparently because of some choices I made, what happens in this village dramatically changes. So I had two different experiences with this entire zone depending on what my choices were. But needless to say, the end result is the same. You're going to end up going to the clan hall. And unfortunately, I don't have the save file for this. We're going to go to the clan hall. You're going to fight the clan leader. And some events happen. And you're going to get basically a key to the Ivory Sanctum. However, what we're also going to do here is check out the quest line to get the extra companion. So where you want to actually head at some point while you're here to this section on the map right here that I'm showing. And it's basically a cave. You'll also see another ghost outside. And the quest we're basically doing is Vengeance of Sarkoris. Unfortunately, it doesn't tell you that on the map anywhere, what this is for. But this is, in fact, where we're looking for Morveg, Ciar's protege. So you're going to find him sitting here, and it's going to progress the story. And he says, you see a young Crusader from the ever-bright Crusade. Commander, my name is Morveg. You might remember me, or my mentor Ciar. Thank the gods you're here. I need help. An old temple of Gorum is here in this cave. I've come here for a weapon, a powerful weapon. It's a sword, and it's stored down here. Master Ciar would never agree to use it. That's why I came here without him. Believe me, this relic will be very useful for fighting demons, but I can't get it alone. I need your help. So basically you can talk to him here. You're going to ask him, why he needs help. You're going to basically find out there's a demon here. And then you can obviously leave, or if you want to progress the story, which what we're going to do is you're going to tell him they're going to kill the demon. So if you're looking at the map here, you're going to just make your way down this cave until you run into the monster. And here's the Arachne Devastator you gotta fight. So he can be pretty tough, but you're gonna need to kill him. I'll go ahead and fast forward this and show you what's next. So once you beat this Devastator, he's gonna come up and be like, hey, you did all the hard work for me, awesome. And you're gonna go ahead and follow him into the Temple of Gorum. And of course, he's gonna take the sword and go all medieval evil on your buttocks, or try to anyway. He's gonna say, the Fang of Malice, the weapon of those who live by war, the weapon blessed by Gorum. The Fang will make its owner a deadly, almost invincible warrior that hungers for battle, a warrior who won't retreat, betray, or desert, for battle will become their reason for living. Man becomes weapon. Ciar would say such a transformation is a sin. He doesn't understand, but you will. You will understand that a powerful weapon I'm giving to you. I will show you its power. Prepare to fight. Even now, dying weak, I am invincible. Rar, bar, rar, rar. The giant points the black sword at you. And basically, we gotta fight him. You're gonna go ahead and fight him. And as you kill him, sadness. My wounded is too deep. I'm dying, but you saw what I was capable of, even on the verge of death. Many such weapons were made in Sarkosis. The chorus, the Fang of Malice, the Fang of Despair, Envy, Suffering, Futility. All of them are interconnected, just as a warrior and a unit are tied to the bonds of the Brotherhood. Take my sword and give it to the priests. The prophecy will point you to the other fangs, arm your crusade with them, and victory will be yours. So you can go ahead and just finish the conversation, end it however you want. Now of this, you have everything you need for this portion of the quest, and you can either head on to the Ivory Tower if you're part of doing that part of the quest, or if you've already done that and you've returned here, then you can go ahead and head back to Drezen. Alright, now that you're back in Drezen, you need to get to Ciar, and he's right here where my character is, next to Polaron. So he's right here. You want to chat with him. You want to tell him, you want to basically hand over Morveg's talisman and say, Morveg is dead. And he's going to ask you, you killed him. It is very important that you say, yes, I did it. Don't bluff or anything like that, because then he won't hate you, and he needs to hate you for this. He says the old man's knuckles crack as he clenches his teeth around the talisman, his fist around the talisman. I knew you were poison when I first met you. I knew you couldn't be trusted. How dare you raise your hand to the poor boy? The boy who knew no happiness or family love, who grew up in the dirtiest, worst kind of slums, fed on the tales of revenge he hoped to one day live up to. Ciar's voice sounds like a grunting of a wolf dying in a trap. I curse you, you dirty cur. You will have no peace in this world or any other. If it wasn't for the war, I'd slaughter you right now. But by the Queen's order, you, Commander, are off limits. So I will wait for your dark doom to catch up to you. And when it does, I will laugh at your suffering. So needless to say, he's pretty pissed. Now, for the next part of this, as well as your Lich progression, you're going to need to make sure that the main questline gets progressed. So you need to go, if you haven't already, to the Ivory Sanctorum. Now, once you complete the Ivory Sanctum, you're going to progress to where it's going to say, wait for the Queen to arrive and remove the demonic seal. At this point, you can go ahead and trigger the very next part of the quest line that's required to get Ciar to be an undead companion. So as the Queen basically is arriving, you're going to want to go back to the Ziggurat and talk to the Pillar of Skulls. And the Pillar of Skulls is going to say, Master, we are concerned. Our guardsmen have noticed spies around the Ziggurat. They were Crusaders. Some of your servants fear you. They conspire behind your back. They might stage a revolt. Waiting for them to strike is pointless. We must provoke them. Make them strike when we expect it, where it's the easiest to defend ourselves. They must attack the Ziggurat. We will test our defenses. We will purge your army of traitors. Ciar Kobelin is a suitable target. He is old and respected. His mind is clouded by grief. If you stroke his wrath, he will take up arms against you. If he takes up arms against you, the other rebels will join him. They will come here, and we will obliterate them. You can go ahead and say, I'm leaving, and you're going to get the quest Durability Test. At this point, all you got to do is exit, and you're going to go over to Ciar. So when you get to Ciar, make sure to talk to him. And you're going to say, Evil, you know, killing Morveg was wholly unnecessary, but you failed to train the weakness out of him. Guaranteed he'd be next to useless on the Crusade. He sobbed and cried for you as I stepped toward him to cut his throat. And then the old man flinches as if from a blow. His eyes grow glassy. His baggy cheeks tremble. But he can't say a word. Finally, he pushes out one strained wheeze after another through his rebellious throat. I will kill you. I will destroy you and your disgusting nest of undead. I'll raise your damn ziggurat to the ground. You'll notice it progressed your quest line there. I will bury you underneath the wreckage. It will be the end of your abomination. So yes, you have definitely provoked him, and I'll go ahead and return to the Ziggurat. And I'm going to return to the Ziggurat. We talk to the Pillar of Skulls. It says, we sense danger. The Everbite Crusaders. They surround the Ziggurat. They hid and lay in wait for you. Now they're coming for your head. It's a trap. They don't know that they will be the ones caught in it. So he arrives. We're the Crusaders. Our souls are pure. Evil shall not find its way into our midst. So here they go, and they are not happy to see us. So once you have the little introduction, this is where one of the first times you're gonna basically need to be going downstairs to fight against them. So simply go to the back here and go downstairs. Alright, and you go in here and you're gonna run into him and you're gonna have a battle with Ciar and his goons. I'll go ahead and just fast forward to the combat and show you what happens afterwards. So once Ciar is defeated, he says, the defeated knight wipes the blood from his lips. In killing Morveg, you deprived our order of its future. In killing me, you're depriving it of its past. Go ahead and do it. Curse you. But no, we're not going to kill him the normal way. You're going to have an option. Evil requires Lich Mythic Path. Enslave the pathetic old man's soul. The old man is effectively dead. As his heart stops beating under your piercing glare, you hear Ciar's death rattle. It fades away. After a few moments, monstrous convulsions rack his body. Old Crusader stands up awkwardly, his motion like those of a broken doll. He looks at you expectantly, his eyes glazed. Your new servant is waiting for orders. And you can go ahead and immediately have him join your army here. So let's just go ahead and do that so you can take a look at him. Now he starts at level 10, and he is a cavalier, so he's going to have a mount, for example. And he's got no archetype, he's just a straight up cavalier. You cannot respec him under level 10, but you'll notice he's actually got pretty good mounted feats that he picked up. Heavy armor, power attack, dodge. So none of these are really bad. So he's not built out poorly. He's got good strength, he's got good charisma, and remember, for undead, charisma is your health as well. And decent dexterity. So he's pretty min-maxed actually stat-wise. So if you want a cavalier in your party, he's most definitely quite good. Now as you progress towards the end of Act 3, there's going to be an event that pops up called Undead Advisor. It's going to ask you to go back to the headquarters. You're going to want to keep an eye out on this and make sure you head back to town. And you're going to want to head towards the Citadel to talk to his advisor. So at this point, when you come back to your Citadel, it's going to say, the voices from your pillars of school force their way into your head. Master, there's danger. The undead are fighting each other. At the Ziggurat, mutual obliteration. Your intervention is needed. The power over the undead is lost. We are in danger. Our body is being dismantled. We're defending ourselves. So you're definitely going to want to head to the Ziggurat right away. Time is going short. We are facing a threat of destruction. We are defending ourselves. We serve you. So this is the Undead Uprising quest. Now in this case, Zacharias came to me at the same time. I don't know if these things are automatically timed the same or to go together or not. Do note that, but in this case you saw right off the bat this wasn't even a cut. It went straight to this. So I see the number of your undead servants is growing day by day. You have done well, students, surprisingly well, but we need to prepare further for the day when your living allies betray you. Trust you understand this inevitability. As your legend grows, so too will the anger of the righteous when they turn their gazes towards your domain. The solution is simple. Spare your living Crusaders for now. The area is littered with old Sarkozian burial mounds. Direct your servants to open these tombs and bring back the dead. The sentimental mortals will, of course, resent these orders, but it is foolish not to use such abundant resources quite literally lying under your feet. And Eyanka, this is the necromancer advisor, says, it's not enough to multiply the ranks of undead soldiers. You also have to get rid of living troublemakers. The Crusade is full of useless mortals, camp followers, peddlers, the severely disabled, and other rabble. They provide no benefit to you, but could form a ragging mob during an insurrection. Just say the word, and we'll commence the great reaping in the name of Urgathoa. Let the unwanted be put to the sacrificial knife. And then Septimus bows his head. Such barbarity! Allow me to suggest a different approach. In Geb, the living and dead coexist peacefully thanks to the dead laws, which grant equal rights to all. If you introduce similar laws in Drezen, you will attract many new allies, powerful noble souls, not mindless minions bound to serve the will of others. They will provide much needed support. So you have to pick one of these options, and if you didn't know about this before, you can mouse over these choice effects, and it'll tell you, and if you right-click, it'll tell you what the actual decrees are. So if you pick the top one, you get skeleton creation. So every 5 days, you can basically summon 45 skeletons. The second option is you can get zombie creation. Every 3 days, you can get 30 zombies. And you can right click again, by the way, to find out like what the stats are. So these are like the pinky ones. Now this one states you get 9 skeleton sharpshooters, 9 skeleton champions, or 10 vampires that are recruited at your headquarters depending on your previous choice. Now this is talking about a previous situation where you had 3 choices and you could either basically get skeleton sharpshooters, skeleton champions, or vampires whenever you killed enemies in battles. And the ratios were the best for the sharpshooters, the second best for the champions, and then the worst for the vampires, meaning you need to kill the most enemies to get the vampires. And so depending on that choice, you're going to get whichever one you chose here. Now in my playthrough, I chose the vampires, and unfortunately I don't have footage of that. I didn't have the save file where I got that, but you're not going to be able to miss it. It's just going to be one of these events that pops up, and you're going to make the choice. So whichever one you choose, you're going to get those. And the final option is self-confidence. You get a morale increase, and this is a horrible option, obviously, since your Crusade should already be maxed out. So obviously, pick whichever one you want. And now that those events are over there, you're going to need to go defend the Ziggurat. Now as you arrive here, you're going to notice that the skeletons are fighting each other. So there's going to be a clear one that you can basically kill these bloodlusting skeletons. You can't kill the skeletal champion berserkers. So just go ahead and kill off these monsters. And then it's going to progress the story once you get up to this area. And then there's more of these skeletons now that are attacking. So go ahead and kill them. Now once they're dead, you're going to go ahead and talk to the Pillar of Skulls. You made it here in time. We still exist. The undead became unruly. They tried to dismantle us. It's going to progress the quest. We have gained understanding. The revolt is the result of a conflict of power. There are many necromancers around. Their magic has its own polarity, a particular course. The foreigners from Geb feed on blood. They worship Zura, the vampire queen. The necromancers from Ustalav feed on death itself. Their power comes from Urgathoa. Emanations of their magic permeates this place. The lower undead's primal instincts forces them to obey necromancers, to strive to do their bidding, to follow their teachings, to imitate them, to transform according to their wishes. The foreigners from Geb and Ustalav are feuding. Their convictions are in dire oppositions of each other. The undead can sense it. They have split into 2 camps in a crude imitation of the necromancer's behavior. They do what they have been left, what has been left undone, and say what has been left unsaid. As of now, there are 2 warrior groups of the undead in the Ziggurat. One group apes the vampires from Geb. The other group acts like the priests of Urgathoa. They are too primitive to be able to coexist. One of the groups must be destroyed. So basically, you get to choose which one you want. So this top one, bloody skeletons, are like the vampire skeletons. The bottom ones are like the necromantic skeletons. So in my case, in my story, I chose the bottom one just because I'm building like this character, kind of the undead form, necromantic format. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that. As you wish, Master, culling is an order. Ziggurat must purge those who are no longer needed. And then what you're going to do is now you're just going to go. You're going to take your group and you're going to go down to the bottom level. At the bottom level, you're just going to have a bunch of sections of monsters of the 2 vying skeletons fighting each other. You're going to clear that out. So I'll go ahead and do that really quick and then fast forward to the interaction at the end. And once you're done clearing them, I'm just going to tell you to go back and talk to the pillar. So you're going to do that. And then you're going to go ahead and talk to the pillar again. Pillar Skulls, the rebellion has been put down. The cull is complete. The undead that are recognized as potentially useful will take up the freed space. They will continue their transformation. Their imitation of the necromancer's behavior will grow more complex, more advanced. You're curious to observe, you're watching, we are learning. So again, this is going to basically decide what kind of skeletons are going to be in this area. Now at this point, you're also going to get a repeatable undead decree. And this is based, again, on the choice you made. I had chosen the vampires in the event that we talked about a few minutes ago. If you had chosen the sharpshooter or the champions, you would have gotten those instead. And this is something now you can just indefinitely get throughout the game. So that's your reward for making that choice. Now, of the Spiritual Bonds quest being complete, you're basically going to have radio silence until the end of Act 3. And that's going to happen when the Queen arrives and you are going to go into the Fane. And once you're into the Fane, we're going to get to the next part of this quest line. Now, Act 4 takes you to the Fane, and then you're going to go straight into the Abyss. And once you arrive at the Abyss, the first thing you can do is you're going to be sent into the mines right here in the Nexus. And you're going to go down here into this pit of giants. And when you are about to come back out, you're going to have your next interaction with our old friend Zacharias. So let's take a look at that. You're going to come up here. Zacharias. It takes you a moment to recognize the ghostly floating figure of Zacharias the Lich. His dry, rasping voice fills your ears as he begins to lecture you angrily. Student, where have you been all this time? I finished my research, studied the crystals you brought me, and where were you? You do not think I have languished in my prison long enough? Are you trying to test my patience? And you can answer however you want, but I'll say, I'm searching for new sources of strength and power. Don't waste your time with worthless nonsense. I am the only one who can give you true power. The Lich gives an exasperated sigh. Well, we shall have to find a way to use your absence to our advantage. I completed my examination of the vessel you brought me. Though I do not understand how it is connected to your soul, something else has been made clear to me. From my examination of the crystal vessel, I can conclude that the magical item has somehow come into contact with your spiritual essence. The traces of your essence lingered with the vessel like drops of wine in an empty jug. After a close inspection of these tiny remnants of your soul, I can say that it is very strong. It's certainly much stronger than that of a mortal. It's more akin to the soul of an ancient dragon or a demigod, perhaps even an imperial or demon lord. No wonder it has resisted my spells and my attempts to free it from your body. In order to perform the ritual, we have to find a way to weaken your soul. You can just basically ask him what you need to do. He says, you are obedient. We are too reliant on my instructions, student. It's time for you to prove yourself and find the answer on your own. Zacharias cracks his bony knuckles and sighs. Then he continues in a more conciliatory tone. The problem we are facing is not easy. I see no solution at present, but if you wish to gain mastery over death, you must first gain mastery over yourself. A candidate for immortality must have patience and self-control. Wait for a solution to present itself. Be attentive. Use discernment. You will find the answers eventually. Until then, you will just have to wait. I understand. So, you get the quest Subduing the Spirit. And so you're going to have to work through Act 4 for elements of this to become apparent. Alright, so here's a little bonus / Easter egg for the people following the Lich Path. When you are in the Abyss and you're in the slave trade district, if you go to the slaver in the bottom right hand corner, you can talk to him, and this is Werlong Black Mask. He's supposedly like the ultimate combatant. And what you want to do is if you're powerful, you can try this. Go ahead and fight him. And he'll say, I am a gladiator. When I see death coming, I do not flee. I kiss her dry lips of passion. The arena is eternal, and thus we are also eternal. Kill me, and you will be able to wear this mask. There's a little hint there. And then let's go ahead, and I'm going to fight this and fast forward this. It is not an easy fight, but let's see what happens when you beat him. Alright, when you're done fighting, you can interact with his body, and it says, Werlong's lifeless body lies at your feet. A bloody mist rises from his wounds. It is impossible to survive such wounds. Yet you hear a voice coming from beneath the obelisk mask. Didn't I tell you I am immortal? You killed his body, but I am still here right in front of you. Mask grins and winks at you. So what's really cool here is because you are a lich, you can say, sense the soul that hides within the mask. From the black polished stone, a restless, spiteful, and bloodthirsty soul glares suspiciously back at you. It is skilled enough, the art of puppetry, to manipulate the bodies and mouths of those who once wore this mask. You can see the dozens, perhaps hundreds of faces, those who wore this mask and gave their bodies to the ghost, willingly or not. And you can continue. Subjugate the lesser undead who dare to show you disrespect. And it says, the mask is in your hands, and you feel the black polished stones heat under the fingers until it starts glowing white. This doesn't cause you any pain, but the ghost dwelling within the mask starts howling wildly. You are the master of death. You are her lover, and you are more precious to her than anyone else. Forgive me. I had no idea. Spare me, and I will serve you, I swear. And you get the item, Obsidian Mask of the Champion. And check out this mask. The wearer of this mask gets a +10 competence bonus on intimidation and mobility skill checks. In addition, whenever the wearer of this mask lands a killing blow, they get temporary hit points equal to the killed enemy's strength modifier for 5 rounds. So this is pretty cool, especially if you get a strength-based fighter, for example. And remember, intimidation you can use with that cognition smash to basically like demoralize and make it so enemies have negative to their attacks. So on the right build, this is a pretty cool mask and a nice little Easter egg for those that have the Lich pathway. Now, when it comes to Act 4, it's going to be pretty straightforward when it comes to the Lich path. You're just going to do the main story. You're going to just kind of progress through the act. And it's going to at one point take you to the Mage's Tower. You're going to go to the top of the tower. You're going to meet with the storyteller, and then he's going to tell you to go back actually to the mine where you saw Zacharias for the first time in the act where you arrived. And you're going to get a crystal. You're going to take it back to here at the storyteller, and then you're going to talk to him, and you're going to have an opportunity that you're going to be able to send a message back to Zacharias. Unfortunately, I thought I had the save file for this, but I don't. What is important, though, is then when you exit after turning in the crystal, you're going to have this interaction that you're going to see right now. Student, be quiet and listen. What I'm about to tell you is very important. I told you that your patience and obedience would pay off, and I did not deceive you. I hope you've realized by now that you have discovered a way to complete our ritual. The storyteller told me about the visions revealed to him by the, I'm going to butcher this, Nachnindrian crystal. I found them very intriguing. However, or somehow, Nocticula weakened the demon's lord's spirit. The demon did not have enough strength to enter the Rift of Repose. But how did she activate this? How did she trap the demon's body and turn it into an island? We must discover a method and use them to weaken your soul and perform its ritual of transitioning to the philanthropy. Then my own ritual will be complete and my oath will be fulfilled. You could, of course, ask the Lady of Shadow about these matters, but I doubt that she would give you an honest answer. Sure, she does not wish for her secrets to be revealed. However, there's another way for us to solve this mystery. You wish to gain a mastery over death, therefore, you must seek your answer among the dead. Go to the mines where you found the crystal, summon the spirit of Alinthia, and call forth her lost memories so you can question them. And you can go ahead very well. Yes, that's what I need to hear from you. Student, you must leave all other less important matters behind. Proceed immediately. The task I have given you. Farewell. And so this is going to take you just right back to the mine. Alright, now we return yet again to this mine that we've visited so many times now. You're just going to interact with the crystal and call out the spirit of the dead demon lord and order her to appear before you. And you're going to fail kind of the first time and redouble your efforts and boldly call forth the mighty dead. And then you're going to tear the veil of eternal sleep that shrouds the spirit and force her to reveal herself. The gates of oblivion swing open, releasing a swirly vortex of terror. The smell of death hits your nostrils. Your summons has awakened something cold and terrible. It rises from its slumber, gigantic, dark, and monstrous. And so a combat ensues. Now you're going to be dealing with a monster of regeneration. It's not too bad of a fight if you know how to deal with it. I'll go ahead and fast forward that. And once you're done, here comes the vessel. Why are you here? Have you already taken the lives of Nahindri and the other demon lords? Do you wish to add me to your list of victims? And this, by the way, is the story. The background story of, I guess, this island. This lady is this island right now. I will not fall so easily. I am stronger than the other demon lords you have killed. If you try to fight me, you will face defeat. And this is the Lady of Shadows, by the way, on the right-hand side. No, sweet-voiced Windrunner, I am here to propose an alliance. Why should I make an alliance with you, murderer? We have much in common. We both possess the powers of seduction, and both of us are seen as coveted prizes to be won. Other demon lords wish to control us, to make us their victims. Yes, I killed Nahindri. He wanted to make me his prize slave. He rebuked me for his death, but would you desire such a fate? Would you wish to be subjugated to his will? What will happen when you face someone who is stronger than you? What will you do when they come to take away your freedom and silence your songs? Who will you turn to then? I see the wisdom of your words, murderer. I will kill anyone who tries to claim me. I will shed blood if someone tried to make my songs their own. Yes, we will form an alliance. You, cunning one, will bring me the whisper of my enemies, and I will offer you my protection. I will house you in the shadow of my wings. And then you have a second battle. We'll go ahead and fast forward this as well. Alright, and when you win that one, it does the next part. I feel a sense of impending doom. An assassin ready to drive a blade between my shoulder blades. Tell me, cunning one, which one of my enemies wishes to attack me? My eyes are everywhere, but they don't see your enemies. No one would dare to attack you, Windrunner. No, I can feel it, the evil thoughts and greedy looks behind my back. Someone wishes me dead. We will face your enemy together. We look out for each other, remember? And another battle. I'll go ahead and fast forward this as well.
Cover me, all right?
And then after the battle, excellent shot, sister. Another demon lord at your feet. Well, Songbird, I think you have sung your last. But this is the betrayal. Traitor, how dare you? We swore to protect each other. And you. You betrayed me. You ambushed me. You shot me down and wounded me. You conspired together with your brother. Damn you both. I will bring her to power, and your death will be the foundation upon which we build our throne. Your brother is just like all the rest of them. You will regret your betrayal. Why? Why does the wound hurt so much? Why do your black bolts cause so much pain? And yet it was he, my brother and lover, who helped me orchestrate your downfall. Darkness and oblivion await you, and nothing you can say will change my mind. Man, got some Lannister action going on here. Someday you'll realize that you were wrong. Your brother is greedy and jealous. He will envy your strength and stab you in the back, just like you did to me. And you, fool, do not triumph prematurely. Your sister is powerful. We are nothing more than her pathetic henchmen. She will defeat you no matter what trickery you have devised. Born in flames, love one another or kill each other, I don't care. Nothing makes any sense. Nothing matters. Alinthia, the ghost's powerful voice rings out through the cave like the tolling of a funeral bell. The huge demon looks at you with complete disinterest. Her gorgeous face is cold and dead. She looks like a statue made of ice. Who are you? Why have you disturbed me? And you can say hello to her. And then you need to tell her that you came to discuss her death. And then she says, yes, I died, but it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. And you have an option for Lich Path. Weave a web of spells around this powerful ghost. Crush her ephemeral body with your power and force her into submission. The spirit shudders piteously. She cowers before the blows of an invisible whip. As it lashes her into submission, her ghostly face looks haggard and worn. Stop. Don't disturb me. Go away. Ask what you want and leave me alone. I want peace. I don't want to exist. How did Nocticula defeat you? Answer me. And she says, I was stronger than Nocticula, but her attack took me by surprise. Her black bolts were enchanted. They quenched the fire in my soul and extinguished the passion in my heart. I no longer had a reason to fight, and I surrendered to her will. And that's all you need. Don't go. The spark of life, restless, must put it out. And I failed the will check, so I don't know what happens there. Instinctively, you lash out of your mind, severing the connection. The ghost is engulfed in green flames and returns to nothingness with a terrifying cry. And you can do a lore religion check. You swiftly dispel the spell that awakened Anithia's memory. Framing fragments of her consciousness sink back into sleep, and her wailing cry fades into silence. Alright, and at this point, it's going to have us go back to Zacharias. Alright, now a lot of people get confused what to do once you're done at the mine as far as how to talk to Zacharias. So all you got to do is you actually got to go back to the Mage Tower, go to the top of the Mage Tower, talk to the storyteller, and tell him you have a message for Zacharias, and he'll kind of say, okay, you know, next time I see him, I'll let him know. And because like time occurs in a different spectrum in the Abyss and a different kind of rate than in the real world, what's going to then happen is all you got to do is now exit the Mage Tower. So we're going to do that right now, and you're going to see what happens next. So an image of Zacharias magically appears, and he says, "The storyteller told me that you had news. Did you complete the task I gave you?" And you can say, Nocticula extinguished the passion in the Lethe. Can't pronounce her heart. Lich looks at you thoroughly. She extinguished her passion. That makes sense. Suppressing all the desires and affections in a victim's heart would plunge them into the blackest depression. The urge to resist and the will necessary to perform even the most basic instinctive actions would disappear. It's almost genius. She mortally wounded the soul. She deadened her enemy's desire and turned Elinthias into a shadow of her former self, an inert object that could be easily manipulated. How clever. Tell me, student, why do you think Nocticula attacked Elinthia in this way? And you can say, you know, whatever you want. Maybe she took away her enemy's will to live. I think that's what killed her. That's a possible theory. When the soul loses the will to live, its energies become inert, devoid of any active principle. In other words, it becomes nothing more than an object that, such as a crystal, for example. And how do you think Nocticula extinguished Elinthia's passion? And then you can show him the black crossbow. Nocticula used an enchanted weapon to extinguish the passion in her heart. How fascinating. No, keep that bolt away from me. I can see perfectly well from here. Amazing. The spell that have been cast on this bolt contains so much despair, grief, and gloom. They would make even a divine soul curl up in a dark corner and wallow in self-pity. I see that you have already figured it out. I commend you for your discernment. Perhaps you are more worthy of my gift than I realized. I shall do to you what Nocticula did to her enemies, and no, I do not mean that I shall shoot you in the heart of a black bolt of despair. Speaking figuratively, if we used bolts like that on you, it would likely kill you. After all, it is a weapon designed to take the lives of demon lords. There's no sense in poking you with it. But I finally have the answer. I shall extinguish the passion within your soul. You will have to give up everything you hold dear, everything you love, and everything that stirs your desires. Love, carnal and romantic, gold, delicious foods, tart wines, glory, and the triumph of victory. You should take it all and throw it into the sacrificial fire. When all burns away into nothingness, you will embark upon a new path of ashes with a dead heart. Then and only then will you become noble undead, an eternal philosopher, a lord of death. Yes, this is it. By taking everything from me, I shall give you everything. And you can say, I'm ready to undergo the ritual to become a lich. It says, very well, finish up your business in the abyss quickly and return to the Ziggurat. I shall be waiting for you. Alright, and so that is technically the last thing that you need to do while you're in the abyss. But we also have an opportunity to get another companion. So let me show you how you're going to get another undead companion. Now, in order to get the final companion, and again, you need to do this while you're leaving the abyss before you get back to Drezen, you're going to go to the House of Silken Shadows. This is the very end of Act 4. It even gives you a warning, hey, once you go here, there's no going back. You need to commit to this. You're going to approach the portal. You're going to step to the portal. And now it's going to have like a little, not a choose your own adventure, but kind of. You're going to do all these tests. Now, what really, it doesn't matter technically whether you pass or fail. But if you pass or fail, it will dictate where you're going to end up. So if you have the correct stats, you can kind of keep pushing through and succeeding. Kind of what I'm doing here. And so in my case, I succeeded on all the checks. So the main difference here is you're going to land in this area on the map here, as opposed to kind of locked up in a jail here if you were to fail too much of it. So what matters is that we need to get kind of over here. So if you failed, all you got to do, and if you're in a little prison, you just need to kind of just head straight out, and you're going to run into the NPC that we're looking for in just a second. But in the meantime, I'm going to clear the path over there, and then I'll pause it when we get to the NPC and show you on the map where we are. So when you enter this room right here, you're going to find a couple of kind of humanoids, these sailors, and you're going to also find Kestoglyr. My goodness, these names are difficult. You're going to go ahead and kill him. Now, once you kill him, be careful because it's easy to kind of totally miss him. His body doesn't light up when you hit tab, but his name does. But you can go ahead and click on him like you're going to talk to him. And it says, a corpse lies at your feet. It wears an old set of knight armor, and beneath the open visor, see a shrunken, mummified face with thin, shriveled lips and a sharp, angular chin. Dead man looks human, but even in death you can tell something not quite right about his features. However, it is not difficult to imagine what he must have looked like when he was alive, resolute, proud, courageous. And you can say, imbue a corpse of new vigor and raise him as your undead slave. Your power pours into the dead man's flesh. It fills the corpse, illuminating the dead eyes with a crimson light and causing its limbs to shudder convulsively. A dry wheeze comes from the dead man's chest, and you can talk to him, for example. Ask him who he was in life. It's a pretty cool kind of look. He'll tell you all about it. And you're basically, you know what? From now on, you're going to serve me. And then he can do nothing but agree. And he's going to say I need to recover energy, and just make sure that you don't destroy him. Make sure you click when you can move again, come find me. And he says, I will obey. Once I have recovered, I will set off. I will find you. So you don't get him immediately, but as soon as you finish this and leave the abyss and go into the Fae, you're going to see him there as one of the people in the Fae. And then as soon as you are back in the kind of real world, you can go ahead and take a look at him and have him join your party. Well, as soon as you can change your group makeup, that is. Now, here he is in all his glory, Kestoglyr. Now, what's really cool about him is he starts out at level 3, so you can mold him however you want. Now, this is me playing with him and getting him to 20. But what's really nice at level 3, all that's been chosen for you is 2-weapon fighting, weapon focus, scimitar, power attack, and then they chose double size. So he's going for a dual wield setup. He also has really high strength, good dex, and charisma. Now this is obviously with gear, but he's got really good kind of stats for a fighter. And what I built him out with is using a shield, like an offensive shield. So if you don't know, there's offensive and defensive shields. And this is one of these that can be used for like bash attacks. So basically I deal with these and he attacks with both of them. It can be really, really fun. But again, he's a very, very good character to have on your team and does a ton of damage and is also super tanky. I mean, without any buffs at all, he's sitting at 44 AC just from his gear. And again, he's a DPS monster as well. So that's how you get this gentleman. All right, guys. And then the next kind of cool little event that occurs is once you come back to the real world, Drezen is all jacked up. You're going to have to fight your way through it. And then you're going to go to the Citadel. And after you leave the Citadel, you're going to be having this following confrontation that's also kind of Lich specific. So I wanted to kind of share that with you. before we go and do the very last part of this to get the Lich final transformation. So let's take a look at this. All right, now in Act 5, you're going to return to Drezen, and it's going to be all jacked up. You're going to have to fight your way back to the Citadel. And when you do, there's going to be kind of a cool interaction I'm going to show you right now. You're going to go back to your Citadel chamber, and you're going to have a little interaction here with the storyteller. And as soon as this happens, we're going to go outside here in a moment. I'm going to fast forward, but we're going to see a really cool kind of Lich-specific part of taking Drezen back. So we step outside here, and there's the armies of chaos. But we stand resolute. And so this demon lord says, a huge oily Nathals Lesney is waiting for you with his arms folded. Here comes the commander, kids. Ha ha ha. So, commander, do you like what you see? You've arrived just in time to hear your friends screaming for help. Trusted you, and look what's happened to them. You actually think you can rescue them? Ha! Who do you think you are? And your evil option is, only I have the power of life and death over these soldiers. How dare you try to steal what is mine? Such bold words, so much ambition. I might even be a little bit scared, haha. And this is the great hero everyone is so afraid of? Come on, show us what you've got. And you have an option because you are Lich Path. I am a Lord of Death. Power rushes through your body, almost rippling it apart. The wound in your chest bursts open, a spray of blood droplets. The might bestowed upon you on the abyss and Arulu Vorlush erupt in the world, and you pay for it in its purest agony. The city is steeped in death. The people now dying on its streets are but a drop in the ocean of those who have perished here. Thousands of warriors gave their lives to protect it. Thousands more fell trying to capture it. Drezen stands atop bones, and you hear the soft groan of those dead rising up from the underground. You answer them. You summon the fallen and rally them for a new fight. You promise that their cold, decayed hands will have another chance to squeeze the life out of their hateful foes, that their ghostly hearts will once again be filled with battle rage. You don't care who answers your call. Brave Crusader or a frenzied cultist. Death is a great equalizer. It has erased their faces and given you power over their souls. And so the undead attack. Skeletons and ghosts oh my. And unfortunately they don't actually show you the battle. But yeah, you see the remnants of things. And then after a battle, look who shows her face. So basically, this is Iomade. So there's going to be a whole conversation here between Iomade. The demons are going to come right now. And I'm just going to skip this right now for you guys, this back and forth. You're welcome to experience it when you play it yourself. But basically, she's saying you are tainted, and then you have the choice. She can strip away your powers and have you be human again. That's what would give you the legend path, or you could choose to stick with the path that you've been going on.
And I greet you.
You can greet her.
I suppose, and this is proof you, but I did not. I would.
So again, I'm gonna skip this for you guys.
For you, as for a soul, I have in.
Oh really? I didn't realize you were good for anything else. Forgive.
Do you?
The god silent.
That
is true. I tried to tell you back in Illusion era, but
yes.
no, where does this look familiar? That's right.
Good question. Wait, I said.
Yes.
She's talking.
I am waiting for your answer. I hope you will choose wisely.
So after listening to the demon and Iomade, you have a choice to make. And again, depending on how you play, these choices will be different. But obviously for us, at the Lich Path,
Quite right. Make you.
we have two options. And just to let you know, for those that are wondering, Legend is by default. It strips away your powers, but then you can get up to level 40. You don't get mythic abilities, you don't get mythic feats, but you could basically like dual class, two classes to 20, both to get 40 total, or any other combination of normal classes. But obviously we're going to stick with the Lich Path. And I had mentioned already that I have a whole video that talks about this progression here. You can check that out. It's in the description below. And then once you make your choice, you have to announce, and your option is, the bones of the dead tremble in their graves, skulls whisper my name, don't ask me to become mortal again, for I have stepped beyond the limits of death.
Your pride will destroy you, and perhaps all of Golarion with you. But I shall not intervene now, so as to avoid causing even more suffering to this world.
Alright, now that you have Drezen back, it's time to go back to your Ziggurat. I also want to point out, though, a couple kind of cool things. You're going to notice that all throughout the city now, you're going to have a bunch of NPCs that are either undead skeletons champions, or you're going to find ghosts, etc. So it's even more necrotic than it was before. Alright, and now we return to the Ziggurat. And we want to go and talk to Zacharias. Zacharias throws his hands up in mock surprise. Is this really happening? As the commander of the Crusade finally torn himself away from the subjugation of demons and found time to speak with me? Have you conquered the abyss? Wait, don't answer that. You'll just bore me with detail. We can finally begin the preparation for the ritual that will turn you into a lich and release me from my stupid oath. And then you can talk to him about what happened here. So, and then you can ask him, I am ready, or say, I am ready to undergo the ritual and become a lich. And he says, we have so much to do. If we are going to make another attempt to extract your soul from your body, you should have to make all necessary preparations. But we have to make more than just prepare. We shall also need power, a lot more power than last time. However, I think I have a solution. We shall rebuild your Ziggurat and make improvements that will turn it into a vast spellcasting formation. The pattern of its architecture will create a sufficient flow of energy for the ritual. While your slaves are busy with the rebuilding efforts, there's something else I need you to tend to, a task that only you can complete. Your undead advisor, Elyanka and Septimus, so those are like your vampire and your necrolords, have been at odds for some time, but once you depart for the abyss, they started to act with complete impunity. They have managed to avoid Galfrey's watchful gaze, have begun an actual war against each other. They are fighting in secret, wasting the strength of their soldiers for the sake of their petty disagreements and pointless bickering. This cannot continue. We need every servant, every zombie, and even every necromancer as we prepare for your ritual. We have a new event, Reconstruct the Ziggurat, and Death's Embrace, so we need to go and put the rivalry to an end at the Battlefield of the Dead. And so those are the two things we need to do. And we'll start by going to the decree interface. Alright, for decrees you need to do reconstruction of the Ziggurat, and it actually takes 20 days. So get that started right away. Now on the map you need to go right over here, Battlefield of the Dead. Let's head on over there right now. And on the world map we need to go to Battlefield of the Dead. That's right over here. Let's go in there now. Alright, and here we go. Here is the battle. Stake them, burden the bloodsuckers, rip out their full rotten hearts, and obviously it's the necromancer faction. The nefarious cult has ensnared the land in its venomous tentacles. We must sever the tentacles and drive the cult from this place. Let's put an end to the cult. So these are the vampires. And Elyanka, Commander, you're here at last. I've discovered proof of the vile creature's betrayal. Help me put an end to his treachery. And Septimus says the vampire gives you a cold nod. Happy to see you again, Commander. Welcome back. I've had to deal with some of the parasites that have infested your home during your absence, and I could use a little help. So you can basically try to get them to calm down, but they won't. You have to pick one or the other. So if you side of Alyanka, you're going to have more of the necromantic help. If you side of Septimus, it's going to be more the vampires again, because I'm kind of going towards a Lich King build with a bunch of skeletons. So I don't know, thematically, I went with her, and so that's what we're going to do here. Thank you, Commander. I knew his deceitful tales would not poison your judgment. Sepulveda's voice is like steel. He holds himself like a warrior. He moves with the swiftness of the skilled, agile fighter. I'm disappointed that you made this decision. You will only doom yourself. Continue to dance this mad priestess's tune. Trust me, I have been around for a long time. I can tell when a necromancer is a dangerous lunatic. And that is exactly what she is. But it looks like you have already chosen your fate. So you leave me no choice. Prepare to defend yourself. So now you basically have to fight the battle, and you're going to have the side help that you supported for the necromancer help, and you're going to kill the vampires. And I'll go ahead and fast forward that to show you the resolution. Alright, and then you win the battle. The vampire's clothes are torn and tattered from his fight with your warriors. You can see the desperation in his eyes, but he thrusts out his chin and stares at you defiantly. And then you can say, "See, little vampire, did you really think you could defeat me? No, I am no match for you, but I had to try at least." And then you say, "Let us put this to an end." He smiles grimly and his voice drips with contempt. "You won today, but that doesn't mean your chosen path is the right one. It simply means I underestimated you. I won't make the mistake again. We shall meet again." Discord and disobedience. So now technically you could turn on her as well. I don't know why you'd want to, maybe. But we're done here. And she says, "The leech managed to get away, but we have finally suppressed his mutiny. The sedition among your servants will not last that night. I wish to congratulate you on your victory. I would also like to present you with a special gift. I observed how your undead servants change under the influence of your mythic power, and it gave me the idea for an unusual experiment. I took several undead and kept them for 3 nights in a basin of unholy water, blessed by the priest of Urgathoa. I had a grave dug in a cursed ground and kept them there for another 3 nights. The energies of death entered the bodies of the servants, making them far more dangerous, granting them a sinister intelligence. Hope you will benefit from this amazing discovery. You get a new event, Immersion into Death." So I'm assuming there was a different buff if you go with the vampires. In the meantime, I will make sure that all the undead soldiers enslaved by the vile leech are captured and dealt with appropriately. It will swell the ranks of your army in the very near future. And here's the reward of the decree that you get. It's called Immersion in Death. And basically, once you complete this, it takes 12 days. All your skeleton and zombies get Alyanka's rights. So units have 20% extra hit points. It's a nice little, definitely a significant buff. Alright, after the battlefield, you're going to go ahead and return to the Ziggurat. You're going to talk to Zacharias. The Lich spares you an impassive glance. "I do hope you are here with good reason, student. I am occupied with ruminations on the ritual you and I shall perform together." And then you want to say, "I put an end to the feud between Alyanka and Septimus. Very good. Any and all disturbances must be stamped out." So it's going to progress this quest. "Once the Ziggurat is upgraded according to the geometry of my ritual, we shall be able to proceed." There you go. Goes to remember that your mundane concerns are not important. Okay, so at this point, what we got to do is we got to wait until the Ziggurat is complete. And now we return to the upgraded Ziggurat. Now, I'm not 100% sure if this is actually like a different model. I could probably check my old footage, but this is what it looks like when it's completed. And we're going to go ahead and go back in. All right, and then we want to go ahead and talk to Zacharias. The Lich spares you an impassive glance. I do hope you're here for good reason. And then you say the Ziggurat has been upgraded. Perfect. Now we can harness a colossal amount of energy to use in the ritual. However, any attempt to sabotage would be compromising our undertaking. Subdue your unduly obstinate advisors to ensure we shall not be impeded by their stupidity, and then we shall open the door to your eternal life. And what's weird is you gotta kind of tell him that twice. It's a little buggy. So, again, you have to like exit and come back, and it'll say grayed out. The Ziggurat has been upgraded again, and it upgrades the story. I don't know, because he told us to like silence your advisors, and I don't know what that really meant, but I couldn't figure out what to do, and all I did was talk to him again, and now here we go, and now I can actually say, let the ritual begin. So again, if you get to the point where you say it once, and he just, you talk to him and he has no new lines, just literally click on the Ziggurat has been upgraded again, and it will pop up just like it did right now, and you can say, let the ritual begin. Zacharias bursts out laughing, and now it's clearly satisfied. Now begins the great transformation. Now begins the sacramental rite. And you say, let's begin. Zacharias bursts into triumphant laughter that rings with the promise of freedom he has sought for decades. Shall not ask how far you are willing to go and what you're willing to sacrifice for your power, for the only sacrifice in this ritual is you. Let us proceed. Witness this great and terrible deed. This mortal soul will reject the curse of perdition and eternal rebirth at Pharasma's hand. This mortal brands its heart the blessed seal of undeath, and its forehead the crown of power and immortality. Let the fires burn bright so that the whole world sees your villainous atrocities, and may your virtue be consumed by the flame. Flies and death's head hawk moths circle above your head, creating a halo of insects. You hear the cries and squawks of countless vultures in the distance. The sweet stench of rot fills the air. Orgatho is with you. The goddess is here to witness your moment of triumph. This is the hour of your great torment, and I shall not spare you from suffering. Greed and avarice are fierce passions that can overwhelm even the purest hearts, but you must reject gifts of this generous world. Put to death your desire for riches. You must surrender your greatest treasure. These bracers are inscribed with a promise. Your destiny is bound to them. But today you are going to change your destiny. Reject these false promises. Take off the bracers and hand them to me. So your option is give away the treasure. Wealth is but dust slipping from my fingers. The Lich takes the object from your hands. Beautiful. This magnificent item will make an excellent vessel for your soul. Once you put your soul into the phylactery, it will reside there forever, hidden from death. You will be untouchable. So think of it as like a Horcrux. These worldly treasures are the easiest sacrifice to make. Once you have obtained greatness, you will be able to accumulate tremendous wealth. But now I'm going to deprive you of the gift given by life itself. I will take your youth, your body strength, your muscles will go limp, your joints will become fragile, your eyes will grow dim, your tongue will not be able to taste, your brain will shrink, will never again feel the joy of healthy body or partake in the pleasure of the flesh. Are you ready to give up all this and more? So, Lich Path is, take away my youth and vitality, the body is insignificant, only the mind, the spirit are important. Zacharias waves his hands in a swift, sure motion, and pain shoots through your body. He leeches your vigor and vitality like a giant spider sucks the blood from its prey. Your whole body begins to age rapidly. Your bones creak. You feel pain of old wounds. Your fingers lose their strength. Zacharias' withering face betrays no emotion, but you can sense his delight in your suffering. At last, it is time for the ultimate sacrifice. Are you ready to surrender the soul of the creature you love best? Are you prepared to end the life of the one your heart desires? Know whom I speak. A true master of death cannot have a lover. Shatter this bond. Put the victim on the altar. Wash your face in their blood and achieve greatness. So, The funny thing is I didn't have any of the companions become kind of like my, I guess, lover or my, I don't know, partner. So I'm assuming if you're going to have a relationship with one of the characters, you have to sacrifice them. But in my case, love, I didn't have the time for such silliness. The Lich chuckles dryly and crackles his bony knuckles. Well then, you've already begun the process. Your soul is ready to embrace its final death. Let us finish the labor you have started. Man, that's harsh. Power courses through you, unstoppable, unmanageable power. It overwhelms your body, constricting your movement. The power steals the breath from your lungs and makes your ribs crack. It rolls like a hurricane and tears away your flesh. You are being stripped of everything, hollowed out and emptied until only your spirit, your true essence remains. The stern and proud master of death, a ruler no longer bound by the fetters of mortal flesh. Your vision fades, your heartbeat falters. You hear a commotion outside the walls of the Ziggurat. Shouts? The noise of battle? It doesn't matter. Darkness comes over you. Pleasant chill runs through your body. You feel at peace. Your heart beats no more. This is the end. Intruder, Ziggurat has been breached to arms. So you get invaded by guards. So what you have to do at this point is go here and go downstairs, and you got to fight them off. But it's without your main character initially. So your main character stays above ground. So you got to do this battle, and I'll go ahead and just fast forward it. Now that once the battle is over, you come marching down. Zacharias. Your defeated enemies are humbled or huddled at your feet. They mutter curses and wait nervously for you to decide their fate. Your transformation has also impressed your companions. They can't stop staring at you. In the silence that follows, the nervous whispers of defeated enemies can be heard clearly. Their voices tremble within. You're going to address the Crusaders. Traitors, how dare you turn against me? Ever by Crusaders say, you were given the honor of leading the Crusade, but you defiled their champions and turned them into blasphemous undead. You broke your oath and betrayed Aimede. You deceived many, but not Ciar. He could sense the evil in your heart. He forbade us from sheathing our swords until we plunged them into your chest. Do they not know he's one of my undead? Evil. The undead will teach you the meaning of obedience and discipline. Kill them. Serve you? No, that is the fate worse than death. Curse you, unholy monstrosity, monstrous abomination. Oh, there will be blood. And then, of course, the vampire guy came back. So, Semptibus, you coward wreck, may have fled from you once, but you will die here today. Vampire voice does not falter. You are a monster. You defiled the very idea of the living and the dead coexisting in peace. Someone must put an end to your tyranny. You must be dealt with at once. Evil option. Make the vampire die a cruel and painful death. You are a pathetic mockery of a true undead. You disgust me. It is over. All that remains are the bodies of your feet, but your undead servants will soon take care of them. Oh, final transformation. Zacharias, hold your phylactery, I don't know how to pronounce that, in his skeletal fingers. Welcome to Unlife, my former student. From now on, you are a lich, a true master of the undead. My ritual gave you power beyond your wildest dreams. The lich cocks his head to his side as if listening to something. The promise I made is fulfilled at last. I am no longer obligated to serve the Crusade. He looks at you, and there's an evil gleam in his eye. And so you can evaluate your state, but then you're going to want to say, you're holding the vessel that contains my soul. Give it to me. And he'll say, he chuckles sinisterly. Not so fast, apprentice. Not too long ago, you held my phylactery in your hands and tried to extort me for power. But now I have your phylactery. I have power over you. And you can say, I didn't extort you. You offered to share your power with me. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but in the end you took advantage of me to gain power. What have I gained in return? Nothing, except for my freedom, which is mine by right anyway. So why shouldn't I take it back? I take back my generous gift. Now it's important, don't attack him, don't threaten him, because he'll break it and you're going to lose your powers to be a lich. So, basically you have to say, if you want to keep your lich powers, what do you want from me? He says, grovel, get on your knees and beg for mercy. Who knows, perhaps I will spare you. And again, you really, any of the other options, it's not really going to lead you where you need to go. So, I know this kind of sucks, but get on your knees. Please, I beg you, spare me. Do not unleash your wrath against me, Master Zacharias. Zacharias nods in satisfaction. He's clearly enjoying himself. Much better. May no longer be your master, but remember that I am much older, far more experienced, infinitely more cunning. Remember your place, and I will allow you to keep your unlife. Lich casually toss the phylactery into your wasting hands, and you get your phylactery. This has been a fascinating experience, I have to admit. You intrigued me. Being your mentor was a challenge, but not altogether unpleasant one. I'm even inclined to call you the most extraordinary Crusader I have ever met. Perhaps we have more in common than I first thought. Now, I will leave you with one final word of advice. Do not make rash oaths when you are blinded by a false sense of duty. We are done here. I am leaving this barren land so I can forget all about demons, crusades, and providentally sworn oaths. Farewell, Crusader, and do not trouble me again. Death's Embrace completed. Alright, so now it's time to share the actual final transformation. And this is kind of funny, as you're going to see in a second. My armor and my helmet that I just happened to get will make you look almost identical to the Lich picture that you're going to get. So this is going to bump you up to Mythic 9. And you do get to choose an updated portrait. So here he is. Check out that shoulder armor and the helmet. And it's pretty funny because, again, it matches our armor pretty closely. Color-wise, at the very least, look-wise. You select that. You pick your level 9 talents. I'm going to just kind of fast forward to this. You've seen this hopefully before watching my other video. And then we'll look at the stats. So what happens stat-wise? So it's a little tricky to see at first. So you see nothing on your Mythic Path, but the biggest difference, obviously, is going to be that you're now undead. So you have no Constitution score. Now, there are some downsides. So you do get -2 to your Strength because you sold your Youth. You also get -2 to Dex, sold your Youth. But here's the interesting thing. You actually get a +5 to Strength and +5 to Youth, well, at Mythic level 9. And then it's going to go up to 6 because you actually now get buffed by your own Lord Beyond the Grave buff. And let's see what that means. So this ability you get at level 4 is you can command undead at will, and all undead under your command within 50 feet of you get a bonus to Strength, Dexterity, and Charisma equal to half your Mythic rank +1, and your attacks now ignore damage reduction except N/dash. So basically this means once I hit level 10, you're going to be with this basically doing 5 + 1 +6 to Strength, Dexterity, and Charisma. Now don't forget that Charisma also acts as your hit points now. This is why, like your Constitution, that's why I have 387 hit points right here, which is pretty nice. So this is going to go to 37, for example. Also, you're going to get your phylactery, and this goes back on your wrists. And so I don't know why it says it doesn't stack with your armor, because your armor and this have different bonuses. But this grants you the Deadly Magic ability. And if the wearer already has Deadly Magic, which we do, it gets you 2 additional uses. In addition, once per day, whenever the wearer health falls below 0, it's restored to max. So you can kind of come back from the dead, and it can only be brought back from you. Now, if you're wondering what Deadly Magic is, it is basically a Lich power. So up to 3 rounds per day, the Lich can make all spells he casts to ignore spell resistance, and spell immunity. Any creatures affected by such spells can't cast spells for 1d3 plus 1 rounds. So again, small correction, I actually didn't have this. If I had it, you would get to use it 2 more times. But this is what it provides. It's yet another kind of ability. And last but not least, you obviously look awesome. You have these kind of like ghosts coming out of you perpetually, which is really, really cool. And obviously you have the skeleton head. If you're wondering what it looks like without a helmet, it's going to have your haircut, and quite literally, the Undead Lich. Now, don't forget, final benefit of this is all these spells that basically did a bunch of negative energy are now going to be healing you. And also, there are some that are quite offensive in nature that normally could damage your allies as well. Now, you don't have to worry about it. So, since you're no longer human, you can basically put together a party of all undead if you want, and you can just do a massive amount of unholy damage abilities and not worry about it damaging you. And then you can use abilities such as Restore Undead, which you can spam a ton of times, up to 12 times, and it heals everybody that's undead to full, no matter their health. And this will include you as well. So very, very, very powerful. Okay, so that is the final transformation, but I have one more surprise for you guys, and that's going to be showing you the secret 5th Undead Companion. This is going to be a major spoiler, so again, be very, very careful. If you don't want to be spoiled of a major, major story element, don't watch this final section. You've been warned. Let's take a look. Alright guys, now in order to get to the final 5th Undead Companion, now again, there may be more, but this is all that I could find. You're going to need to make your way to Iz. Now, it's basically southwest, deep southwest of the map. So if you look here, this is Drezen, and we made it all the way southwest. Now you can do this basically at any time in Act 5. You don't have to wait till the story tells you to go there or anything like that. I literally, once I became my Lich form, I made my way there. And you're gonna go into that area, and let's take a look what we do there. Alright guys, final chance to back out if you don't want to be super spoiled. Alright, ready? 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Let's move up and see what we're about to do. So you see them from a distance, the gleaming blades and armor shining bright against the ravaged ruins, their clipped strides betraying both pride and tension.
Everything is prepared for the attack, Your Majesty.
Why is Sindragosa here?
Good. Terendelev was our protector and friend. To grant rest to her soul and her body, which has been corrupted with dark magic, is our duty. Close ranks!
So we're going to avoid announcing your presence.
Advance!
Raining blood. How appropriate. Alright. Now we're going to stroll in. And everybody's had their butts kicked, so now you're gonna have to kill the dragon. But if you're geared out and decked out at this point, it shouldn't be too difficult. I'll go ahead and kind of fast forward this. Alright, and as the dragon falls...
Your Majesty, Commander, Erebeth Tirabade stands relieved.
Hope you didn't care too much about her, because she's about to die.
Erebeth, you saved my life. I swear Mendev shall never forget your name. It's not important. Just win this war, for me and for everyone, so that Mendev may remain, and the world wound is no more.
I relieve you.
Commander. That means I can go with the clear conscience. Erebeth, what can I do for you? Tell me. Anevia. Tell her I love her. Take care of my Nevi.
And she dies.
I remember how sad I was when party guests once broke my favorite gilded nightstand. Ugh, the cruelty of loss.
And Darren, the proverbial douchebag.
Farewell, Knight Tirabade. May your road to Iomede's throne be untroubled and swift. You have returned, Commander.
Yep, and now your time is up. Now I'm the sole power here. At this point, go ahead and kill the queen.
Goddess, you have watched over me all this time. Please do not leave me now in this darkest hour.
She should be no match for you. Go ahead and open a cannibal path. And once she's dead, you'll have an option. You can click on her. The queen's lifeless body lies at your feet. Death has sharpened the noble features of her face. The fearless warrior looks small, helpless, and frail, despite her bloody, dented armor. Evil, bestow the gift of unlife upon her majesty. The body starts twitching convulsingly. Its gray face twists in the grimace of pain. Suddenly, features go rigid, and a pale ghost rises from the fetters of lifeless flesh. The queen screams in agony as she is reborn. Her shriek resounds through the air, a wail full of pain, anguish, and hatred. Galfrey's disembodied spirit hovers above her body, looking at you with terror and confusion. Queen's beautiful features begin to shrivel and wither of age. Wrinkles crease her flawless skin. Her lips become thin, and her hair fades to wintry gray. Your mythic power has taken hold of Galfrey. Like a vampire ravaging its prey, you drain her of the magic that keeps her young. Your touch lays waste to her beauty and destroys her soul. She no longer looks like a young maiden. Instead, you see her true appearance, a withered hag who has been waging war against demons for over a century. Her eyes were once blue as a robin's egg, but now they burn crimson. Her voice trembles of anger and resentment. What have you done to me, Arthas? I am the blade of my goddess. How could she let this happen? At this point, you can kind of rub it in, and she's not going to respond very well to any of this. And eventually, you're just going to tell her to go to your ziggurat, as you wish, my master. Da, da, da. And last but not least, I know you want to see what her class is and all that stuff. Place your bets right now. Paladin, Warrior, I don't know, Crusader. What do you think it's going to be? Let's take a look. So here is Queen Galfrey. How many of you put money on Thundercaller Bard? Yeah, me neither. Here she is, part of my all undead party, by the way, that I have running around, which is pretty awesome. She's leveled decently. Now, since she's level 15 when you get her, you can't customize her that much. She's basically lead into, obviously, a bard with using ranged weaponry. Her stats are pretty good, actually. I mean, high charisma, which is going to be her health, as well as her casting stat. Decent dexterity, for example, so you can kind of deck her out. I don't have very much gear on her quite yet, since I just finished leveling her up. I need to collect some more, but she's pretty cool overall. Who would have thought that the main kind of character that's outside of you could kill and turn into an undead minion? Alright guys, that is the end of my ultimate Lich guide from unlock to the final transformation. Now there's some other stuff you can handle after this. There's little mini stories, etc. But the reality is, by the time you get the final transformation and you get all the companions, that's going to be most of the power stuff. Then you're just going to head into the end game, and I'll let you experience that on your own, how you beat the game and what the ending is for the Lich form. If enough people request to see the Lich ending from me, I can always do a separate video for that. But otherwise, I hope this has helped you guys out. Again, if you guys have any questions, let me know. And as always, to support the channel, like, subscribe, smash that notification bell to be notified when new videos drop. And I will see you guys as always in the next video.